dabbled into the weirdest thing recently, and it all starts with this little pill.
Researchers discover some very exciting new benefits from a drug that's already on the market.
Metformin.
Metformin.
The first anti-aging drug.
Possible anti-aging drug.
Can you spell it? M-E-T?
Could be revolutionary.
Is it really the fountain of youth? Are we on to something here?
This isn't some sketchy supplement. It's a real drug. It's been used effectively by people with diabetes for decades to control their blood sugar. And it's cheap. It's really cheap. It's pennies per pill. It's all in the news right now because it's getting popular with another group of people with a lot of money for a different purpose. So to try to live longer, billionaires are taking a drug that costs pennies. Does it?
Aging generally has bad name. In anti-aging, there's lots of charlatans.
What are you selling, mister? Snake oil?
I tell your mother we're cheating all the people, don't you see?
You'll take this and you live forever, and if they die, nobody sues them, right? So those are our enemies.
That's Dr. Nir Barzilai. He's the person you call if you have serious questions about aging. And he answered my first one right away. We're not talking about
The fountain of youth?
The fountain of youth.
The fountain of youth.
You found no fountain of youth here.
The thing that is not happening is taking an old person and make him young, okay?
Sorry. What researchers are actually trying to do is figure out if there's any way that we can delay the effects of aging. And I don't mean wrinkles and gray hair. I mean the chance that you die. As you age, the chance that you die goes up. Specifically, the chance that you die from these very common diseases goes up.
Why does the chance of dying from cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's go up with age?
We're thinking wrong about it. It's the biology of aging that drives the disease. And if you stop this biology of aging, you stop this disease.
What he told me, and this took me a minute to wrap my head around, is that our bodies accumulate damage as time goes on. And the diseases that most of us die from spring from that damage, often in ways that we don't yet totally understand. But if you could delay the damage somehow, you could also delay the diseases, right? And make it more likely that you survive for longer. And in 2014, Dr. Barzilai happened on the results of a very interesting study.
And this is a study from the UK where they took 180,000 people approximately.
They looked at three groups of people. People with diabetes taking metformin, people with diabetes who were taking other diabetes drugs, not metformin, and people without diabetes who weren't taking any diabetes drugs. The people with diabetes who weren't taking metformin had double the mortality, the number of deaths, than the people without diabetes.
But this is really what was cool. People on metformin that were diabetics were more obese. They were more sick to begin with, had less mortality than people without diabetes.
The fact that people with diabetes who were taking metformin died less than people without diabetes is huge. But if you're applying that to anti-aging, there's some really big caveats. First, these are correlations. This is a retrospective study. They're looking back at what happened. They weren't able to test whether metformin caused it to happen. And second, the only people in this study taking metformin were people with diabetes. It's not clear whether that whole dying less thing applies to people without diabetes. And at this point, you might be wondering, how does it even work? Well, we know a lot about how metformin works in people with diabetes. When you eat or drink, your blood transports sugars to your cells to use as fuel. In people with diabetes, these blood sugar levels can get too high, and metformin helps control that. We have research on this going back decades, to before metformin was first approved. We know a lot less about how it may or may not work in people without diabetes for anti-aging. One reason for that is, these days, it's already a cheap generic drug, which means there's not as much incentive for pharmaceutical companies to do expensive new research. Other studies show the metformin does seem to have anti-aging effects in healthy mice and worms, which is interesting. But to know for sure whether metformin can actually delay aging in most people, we need more research. And that's what Dr. Barzilai is trying to do.
Dr. Barzilai is about to launch a new nationwide study.
A proper randomized trial where they give half of people metformin and half of people a placebo drug.
So you're going to be hearing a lot more about this in the future.
This is really the challenge that I'm leading now. This is this TAME study. TAME stands for Targeting Aging with Metformin. And the reason I'm doing that is not to repeat the studies that I told you. It's to really plan a study for the FDA to repurpose a drug that we believe targets aging.
It's hard to overstate how incredible this would be if it works. Like, they are trying to figure out if aging is treatable, if something can push back the accumulation of damage and push back the diseases that kill the most of us, and if that something isn't some crazy million-dollar thing, but a drug that is already on the market and already affordable for many, many people. I get surprisingly emotional